The desert wind carried a silence that could unsettle even the toughest soul. But to Evelyn Carter, it sounded like a prayer waiting for an answer. She cinched the last strap on her mare, wiped the dust from her trembling hands, and looked toward the horizon where the sun was sinking behind the red mesas. The world felt too big, too empty, until the night she found him. That night would change everything. It began with a cry carried by the wind. Soft, weak, almost swallowed by the desert's breath. Evelyn froze. Out here, cries in the dark could mean anything: an injured rider, a trapped animal, or worse, someone dangerous. But something tugged at her heart, a quiet voice whispering, "Go look. Someone needs you." She lit her lantern and followed the sound. Behind a cluster of boulders, half hidden in the shadow of a dead juniper tree, lay a man, tall, muscular despite his wounds, long dark hair tangled with sand and sweat. An arrow shaft jutted from his shoulder. He breathed like each breath was a battle he wasn't sure he'd win. He opened his eyes when she stepped closer. Eyes dark as obsidian, eyes that still burned with a warrior's fire. Apache. Evelyn's breath caught. She had seen Apache warriors before, from far distances, rushing across ridges or hunting along riverbeds. But never like this, never close enough to see the pain hiding in their stare. He whispered something. She couldn't understand the words, but she understood the desperation. "Don't move," she murmured, kneeling beside him. "I'm here to help." She was a healer, well, not officially. No one gave her a title. No one trained her. But kindness had always been her calling, and she carried it like armor. The arrow wound was deep, messy, dangerous. Whoever shot him had meant to kill. "You're strong," she whispered. "Just stay with me." His lips tightened, as if he resented needing help, but he didn't resist. That was the beginning. And that night, under the desert stars, Evelyn carried a wounded Apache warrior into her cabin. At dawn, Evelyn heated water, gathered herbs, and began her work. She cut the arrow free, stitched the wound, cleaned the dirt and dried blood from his skin. He lay unconscious most of the time, but when he woke, his eyes tracked her like he was memorizing her face. "What tribe?" she asked gently one morning, unsure if he would answer. But he didn't respond. He looked away instead, jaw tight, refusing to speak. A proud man, a guarded man, a warrior through and through. For 3 days, he barely ate. For 3 nights, he barely slept. His body was fighting to survive, but his spirit was fighting something else entirely. On the 4th night, Evelyn tried something she hadn't done in years. She warmed oil in her hands and began massaging his injured shoulder, slow, careful, expertly trained by years of caring for her late mother. Koa stiffened instantly, his muscles locking under her touch. "You're safe," she whispered. "Let me help." He didn't reply. But he didn't pull away. Her touch was gentle but strong. She felt the knots of pain beneath her fingers. She felt the strain he tried so hard to hide. She felt the tension of a man who'd lived too long expecting war in every shadow. The massage lasted 20 minutes. When she finished, something had changed in the room. His eyes were softer. His breathing steadier. The fire in his gaze had dimmed, not extinguished, but softened like embers after a storm. "Why, help me?" he rasped. It was the first time he'd spoken. Evelyn blinked, surprised. "Because you needed help." He stared at her like he wasn't sure whether to trust her answer. "Most people fear my people," he murmured. "I don't judge people I haven't met," she replied. "Fear doesn't heal wounds. Compassion does." A shadow passed through his eyes, something almost like disbelief. Something like longing. His voice was quiet when he spoke again. "My people do not receive kindness. Not from settlers." "Well," she said with a gentle smile, "then tonight is a first." At dusk, Evelyn prepared warm oil. Koa lay on the cot, tense at first, then slowly loosening as her hands worked over his shoulders, back, and injured arm. At first, she massaged him because he needed it. Later, she did it because something unspoken, something powerful, grew between them. She didn't touch him like a healer. She touched him like she saw him. Not a warrior. Not an enemy. A man. And each night, something changed in Koa too. He talked a little more. Told her that he once hunted with his father. That he lost his brother in a battle he didn't want to fight. That he never wished for war but was raised inside one. He wasn't the kind of man who shared easily, but Evelyn made sharing feel safe. And Evelyn, though she rarely shared her own pain, found herself opening too. Her mother had died of fever. She lived alone. Some days, the silence in her cabin felt heavier than the desert heat. She'd always dreamed of helping people, but somehow, the world became smaller, harsher, and she ended up helping no one but herself. I guess I was lonely, she confessed one night, fingers gently kneading his shoulder. Koa opened his eyes at that. Lonely, he repeated softly, is a wound also. The way he said it made her chest tighten. You heal everyone, he added. But who heals you? The question dissolved her breath. No one had ever asked her that. On the 9th night, something happened. Something neither of them expected. Evelyn's hands glided down his back, tracing the scars of battles long forgotten. She wasn't thinking of technique or healing. She was thinking of him, of the man beneath the warrior's mask. Her hand slipped, brushing the side of his ribcage, an unguarded, sensitive place. Koa inhaled sharply. Not from pain. From something else. His hand closed around her wrist. Gently. Firm. Not pulling her away, just stopping her. Evelyn, he whispered, her name soft in his mouth, like he wasn't used to saying a woman's name with reverence. Their eyes locked. The air changed, thickened, warmed. Neither moved. And then, Koa lifted his hand, slowly, carefully, as if touching her might break something sacred. His fingers brushed her cheek, rough thumb tracing her jaw. It felt like the world stopped breathing. Evelyn swallowed. Koa, you should rest. I have rested, he said. Too long. There was no lust in his eyes. No impulsiveness. Only a depth of feeling that frightened her in the best way. Her heart pounded. She had touched him hundreds of times. But that night, he touched her back. And one touch was enough to stir feelings she didn't even know she was capable of. Over the next week, Koa grew strong again. Too strong. Strong enough to leave. Evelyn felt the clock ticking, each second threatening to steal him away. They ate dinner together now. Talked. Laughed occasionally, though Koa's laugh was quiet, rare, and precious. He fixed her broken fence. Chopped wood without being asked. Watched her the way a man watches a sunrise he never expected to see. But Koa was still Apache. And the world still drew lines between them. One evening, as she prepared his nightly massage, he said softly. You should not trust me so easily. She froze. Why not? Because, he said, I am a man who must return to my people. A man marked by war. A man your world believes is dangerous. But I don't believe that, she whispered. He looked down, conflicted. Belief does not change reality. The sadness in his voice was heavier than any wound on his skin. Evelyn touched his shoulder. You are not defined by war. He shook his head. I wish that were true. She stepped closer, heart trembling with something she could no longer deny. You are kind, Koa. Brave. You protect. You help. You heal more than you hurt. He lifted his head, and for the first time, she saw hope in his eyes, but the world wasn't done with him. One morning, horses thundered through the valley. Evelyn stepped outside, heart pounding. 3 settlers dismounted near her cabin, armed, aggressive, furious. We heard you're hiding an Apache, the leader spat. Hand him over. Evelyn stood firm. He's injured. He hasn't harmed anyone. That's not your decision, the man growled. Koa stepped out of the cabin behind her. Injured but unbroken. The settlers raised their rifles. Koa didn't move. If you want blood, take mine. Not hers. Evelyn gasped. No. But he ignored her. He stepped in front of her, shielding her with his body. Leave her, he growled. The settlers hesitated. Not because of fear, but because of the way he stood, ready to die, not for war, but for a woman. Move, the leader barked. Or she'll suffer too. Koa's jaw tightened. His muscles tensed. He was ready. To fight. To die. To protect. Evelyn stepped forward, voice trembling but fierce. If you shoot him, you'll have to shoot me first. The men froze. The courage in her voice stunned even Koa. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, the settlers cursed, spat, and turned away. Fine, the leader snarled. But the next time, the law won't be so kind. They rode off, dust rising behind them. Evelyn collapsed to her knees, shaking. Koa knelt in front of her, lifting her chin. You would die for me, he whispered. I would live for you, she choked out. Koa's eyes softened with something deeper than gratitude. Something like love. That night, the desert was softer than usual. The stars brighter. The silence gentler. Evelyn prepared the oil again. Her hands trembled as she approached him. "You don't have to do this tonight," he murmured. "I want to," she said. He lay down, trusting her. Her hands explored his shoulders, back, ribs, gently, reverently. She no longer touched him to heal his wounds. She touched him to speak. Without words. Koa inhaled deeply, the breath shaky. She felt his heart pounding through the warmth of his skin. She felt the moment his breath caught, the moment feeling replaced pain. At one point, he reached, slowly, took her hand in his. "Evelyn," he whispered. She leaned over him, breath warm against his cheek. "Yes, stay." The word broke inside him. Like a prayer he never thought he'd say aloud. She cupped his face in her hands. "I'm not going anywhere." When Koa was fully healed, he faced a choice. Return to his tribe, or stay with the woman who softened his heart. He walked out to the ridge at dawn, staring over the desert he'd always known. 2 lives stretched before him. One of duty, one of love. Evelyn joined him quietly. "You're leaving," she whispered. He didn't answer. "You miss them," she added. "Your people, your home." Koa swallowed hard. "They are my blood. And I'm just, what?" she asked, voice trembling. He turned toward her. "You are the woman who healed me," he said. "Not just my body. My heart." The wind lifted her hair as he stepped closer. "I did not think I could feel this," he confessed. "Not after everything I have done. Everything I have lost." She reached for his hand. "You don't have to choose between love and duty," she whispered. "Love is duty. Love makes us stronger." Koa closed his eyes. "You would come with me?" he asked softly. "Yes," she said without hesitation. "If you want me there." He took her face in both hands. "I want you everywhere." When Koa arrived at his village with Evelyn by his side, the tribe stared in shock. A white woman, holding the hand of an Apache warrior. But instead of hostility, something unexpected happened. The elders stepped forward, listened to Koa's story, and saw the truth in his eyes. That this woman had saved him, protected him, loved him, and that he loved her back. "Koa has returned with a healed spirit," the eldest said. "That is worth more than bloodlines or borders." Evelyn felt tears fill her eyes. She had crossed a world she didn't understand, following a man she barely knew, yet knew more deeply than anyone she'd ever met. Koa squeezed her hand. "Welcome," he whispered. And for the first time in years, she felt like she wasn't alone. Evelyn became the tribe's healer, mending wounds with herbs, oils, and gentle hands. Koa became her protector, partner, and anchor. Every night, he rested beside her. And sometimes, when her own spirit grew tired, he massaged her shoulders the way she once massaged his, softly, lovingly. Their love was quiet. Their love was fierce. Their love was built on kindness, courage, and a single moment when a woman chose compassion over fear. A moment when her touch stopped being medicine, and became the beginning of a life they built together. A reminder that sometimes,